Hey there, internets. This is Kyle with another edition of the My Business Launch Secrets YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing well today. This is the channel all about one man's journey, being this guy going from $0 to $1 million and trying to start a new online business while still doing it part-time because I have a day job, family to take care of, bills to pay, etc. So not something I can just drop everything and move into full-time. I'm just your average middle-aged dude with a pretty decent job in engineering, but looking for something different because, my job sucks and I just want a change of pace, I guess. So today let's talk about my dilemma, which is sort of on again, off again in this whole course of this journey, which we're on day 72, I think. I keep forgetting. No, 73. This is day 73. Technically, it's been slightly more than 73 days since I really started this, but I have missed a couple of videos for various reasons. Doesn't matter. And I apologize also in advance if my videos don't amuse you to the level of your standard TikTok or whatever content stuff out there, because that's not the point of these videos. It's more for my own personal accountability to be sure I'm at least spending some time thinking, pondering, researching, taking action on the business. So today is the weekend, so mostly spent just hanging out with the family. I had a birthday party for one of my daughters, some of her friends coming over, so took up a good bit of the day just getting ready for that and dealing with a few extra rambunctious kids running around the house, but that was fun. And then later in the afternoon, when I had a little downtime, come in to start looking over some various things, update the finances, bills, whatever. Be sure not gonna have any collectors call me out or anything, debt collectors and whatnot. And going through some of my old emails. Generally, I'm personally a person that likes to have their inbox have no emails, and so when I have a lot of emails in my inbox, it really, makes me anxious or annoyed or whatever. So I needed to go through those today, and one of the main emails that end up stacking up in my inbox, or I get daily emails from that show me highlights from all the Kindle books that I've read. It's kind of good refresher to, see things that I thought were important when I was reading certain books along in recent years, and kind of refreshing my mind about what that was speaking to, and reminding myself why I thought that was important enough to highlight, etc., which most of the books that the algorithm of this program called Readwise looks at are tailored towards more business and marketing stuff, just because that's, you can tweak what you want it to focus on. So that is the focus of these emails, or on business books and marketing sales books that I've read in the past couple of years. And so one of those is, of course, Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, which I certainly marked up quite a bit, I'm sure. And, once again, I forget what it was exactly in that email. I could probably pull it up here in my daily review. I don't remember what it was, but I have my Kindle book pulled up, and so sorry, my screen's jacked up here. Okay, my highlight was question number 2: are the people in this market irrationally passionate? Irrationally passionate, keyword there, or key phrase, I should say. So I pulled up back in my Kindle book to get a little more context, because that was the only thing I highlighted, right? To understand which I already sort of think I knew where it was coming from, but I was just going back and reviewing that section of the book. And in this section of the book, Russell's specifically talking about, deciding what sort of market you should go in, talking about the primary markets for pretty much everything tied to either health, wealth, or relationships. But that within those kind of three big categories, you have a bunch of sub-markets that have been built out over the years as, more and more competition comes into the field for like health types of things. It's like, well, we could talk about dieting. Maybe that's your pitch. We could talk about exercise. You could talk about strength training. You could talk about supplements. You could talk about nutrition, generally speaking, and and even from there, you can kind of break down within each of those little subcategories, like categories off of each of those of, again, things that are good to think about for your own business, of what are the sort of sub niches that you specifically want to pick off, because just going generically for here's how to have a healthy lifestyle, and I'm going to try to build a business just off that generic pitch, like that would never work, because that's too generic, and nobody would probably be very interested, because it's just a super generic thing. So why that doesn't really entice people to take action. So Russell talks a lot about, being focused on providing a new opportunity to the market, not rather than having an improvement offer. So you could say, well, if you are starting a gym or something and you want to go against your competitors, well, just like saying that your gym is a little bit better than theirs, you have slightly better equipment, better bathrooms, whatever. Like that would convert some people to come over to you from the other gym, but it's not really going to drive significant business. Rather, you want to focus on what's really the big sort of key differentiator from what you're doing that you would consider to be totally different from what your competitors are doing. So in other words, what is the, quote unquote new opportunity that you are offering to people that you're telling them they just simply cannot get in their current gym or however they're doing their exercise, right? So again, drilling down to like the sub niches, so you can really pick off those specific people who, whatever your new opportunity is, whatever, I don't even know good examples, but whatever that is, like, that once you get that message in front of enough people, you're going to find those people that are really drawn to that specific opportunity that you have. And that's the whole point. And so the section of the book here, he talks about some questions, I guess, to ask yourself when you're thinking about what are the other sub-markets inside my core desire that people are using to try to get that desire met, and what is the sub-market that my product or service fits into. So question, so he says, as you're thinking about the sub-market, I have 3 questions to consider to make sure you're picking the correct sub-market. Question number 1, would people in the sub-market be excited about the new opportunities / frameworks you will be presenting to them? So of course, again, that's, solely focused on your product and whatever your new opportunity truly is. And do you think people could get excited about that, if you get it in front of them? Question number 2, are the people in this market irrationally passionate? And then interestingly, right, the paragraph right under that question, he says, before we ask how passionate the market is, I need to ask you a personal question. Are you irrationally passionate about your topic? When you hang out with friends or family members, do you always bring it up, even if no one else seems to care? If so, that's a good sign. But are there others as irrationally passionate as you? And then here's some things to look for, such as like, are there already communities set up? Do they have kind of their own vocabulary? Do they have events they go to? Are there other experts that are already, working in this field, etc.? Because again, you want to go after markets where there's already like a lot of people interested in that type of a product and are already irrationally passionate about that thing. And I think his point of using that word specifically, being irrationally passionate, I mean, is ultimately meaning that people who are irrational are essentially much easier to convince to spend their money on your new thing, because if you are really truly serving a need that they feel they have because they're so passionate about whatever the field is that you're working in, then they will just give you all the monies because they're irrational, and they're not going to sit back and just think logically about, oh, well, how is this actually, how is what you're offering, this product or service, how is that actually going to help me day to day? And, let me sort of scale what the value I think that is and what I feel is a reasonable price for me to pay, et cetera. It's like, no, like all that's sort of thrown by the wayside if they are irrationally passionate about whatever you're selling, because they're just going to be like, yes, what you have is what I want. Here's the money, whatever the money is. I don't really care too much. Question number 3 is, are these people willing, number 1, and 2, able to spend the money on information? And so this one brings up one of his stories, which I mentioned, I heard on one of his podcasts. Anyway, I'll walk through. So number 1 is he has an example of a guy he knew who was looking to sell a course targeting sort of kids who played video games, and I guess he was going to maybe show them some tips and tricks for playing whatever video game it was. And in that case, so you had a market that was probably definitely irrationally passionate, because of course there's a whole gamer culture out there, but predominantly younger folks, teenagers, whatnot, who don't have access to their own funds for the most part. And so even though they are very willing to spend the money to learn from somebody who seems to be an expert in this game, they may not be the best audience in terms of being able to spend that money. Obviously, them going to their mom and dad to say, hey, I need to spend $1,000 on this course for how to play video games better, most times that's probably not going to fly too well. So again, a good example of people who are willing but not able to buy. So again, maybe that's not a great target market to go after. His second example, which is the one that sort of sticks with me a little bit, is again talking about this guy named Joel Urway, who started his expert business selling to engineers who had good jobs. And kind of either through the podcast or some other research I was doing, I specifically found out that this guy was, selling coaching to engineers to help them, have better careers and to make more money in their careers and this sort of thing. And what Russell Brunson says in the book is what he found was that most of his dream clients did have money, but they were not willing to spend it on coaching. He spent almost a year trying different ways to sell his offers and had very few results. But as soon as he started selling to a market that was willing and able to buy, he became an overnight success. So again, I've heard that story from Russell before, but the fact that this popped up in my email showing me my highlights, I went back, looked at the book, dug into this, one line about, are people irrationally passionate about whatever you're trying to sell them, and seeing this story again of this guy and this is I think 9 years ago. I looked him up, and I think he was trying to do that back in the 2013 timeframe. So I mean, it was a little while ago where that specific story came from, but very similar to what I'm trying to do, which is sell a product. I mean, not specifically to engineers, but that's my background, so that's probably the natural choice of people that I would attract. And the product I'm selling is related to helping them in their careers and doing career development sort of stuff. Which again, as I've said before, I'm not planning to do like coaching initially anyway. I'm more focused around just having this newsletter, which is a lower ticket product. But even as I was looking back on this guy Joel Irway, he did say that he did have a low ticket product, which was like a $7 ebook, and again, something specifically targeted to engineers. Which $7 ebook, I mean, that's like dirt cheap. I was thinking of something closer to like $50, but nevertheless, point being that even though he had some success in selling that book, he wasn't obviously going to become a millionaire off of just doing that. And I'm sure that's what pushed him into wanting to do coaching, which again, obviously he tried, but aside from having maybe some limited success, that just didn't really hit it off. So there's two things about all that, I guess, in terms of my own journey here. Just one, as I've talked about before, and so I freaking hate just saying the same shit again, even though I've told myself just to move past it, but I definitely have a concern about the market that I'm trying to go after with what I'm doing in the new business. I'm not entirely sure that they would even be interested to buy anything, regardless of how good my marketing was. And it's like, if you're not even sure you have a market out there that would be interested like at all, then I could just see myself like going off and doing this for the next year or 2 or 3, telling myself that if I wasn't getting success, that it's just because I have to give more time. These things aren't going to happen overnight, blah blah blah. But that ultimately, I could be doing everything right in terms of marketing and content generation and whatever, but I would just never reach the levels of success that I'm looking for because of the fact that my target market is not irrationally passionate about the service I'm trying to offer. Second thing is the question again from the book from Russell is, am I irrationally passionate about whatever my topic or my service is? And I guess I've tried to convince myself that helping engineers, PhD engineers like myself in their careers, have some of the epiphanies that I've had in recent years about my own ability to generate income in my job, and has, led me to do a lot of very interesting things and very different things than I ever thought I would have done in this career. I've sort of told myself, that is kind of interesting, and I've certainly valued having been through that experience and learned from some of my own peers about some of these things, just through kind of watching them in their careers, right, and talking to them about their experiences. And so I've thought that, sharing that, those newfound beliefs with other people, I think could be fulfilling to me personally. And that's just kind of what I've told myself. But, I mean, frankly, it is still a little bit of a struggle. I mean, because it's just like something I'm not like super energized by, I guess you could say. And frankly, that's probably why I haven't been making a ton of progress. I mean, I've obviously have made progress in getting things set up, but haven't actually got anything out there to sell. I'm not driving traffic to anything explicitly right now. So then I guess I started asking myself, okay, well, what is it? Is there something that I am irrationally passionate about? Is there something that what do you say, that I when I'm hanging out with friends or family members that I always bring up, even if no one else seems to care. Frankly, I'm not a big person that hangs out with a bunch of people on a regular basis, so I'm not sure I have a lot to pull from to examine it from that perspective. But just again, in terms of what types of things really excite me and are things that I can just sit, for hours working on. I'm not saying it's on a computer per se, but things that I could just easily sit and be doing for hours and just really enjoy what I'm working on. And enjoy seeing the fruits of that product, whatever that is. And there are a couple of things. One is music, as I've mentioned previously. Although frankly, music hasn't been too big in my life the past couple of years. COVID hit and sort of shut down, obviously, a lot of public stuff. But even before COVID hit, just having young kids, certainly made that more challenging to do, and not wanting to be gone, Friday, Saturday nights out playing late at night while my wife's, at home taking care of the baby or whatever. So kind of, didn't shut it down completely, but just, got off of the high I guess I was on for several years of doing music as a hobby, but also getting paid to do it. But regardless of that, it's something I'm still very interested in, and I'm certainly passionate about it. Music in general has, I think, definitely had a big impact on my life in many different ways. It's definitely the most social type of thing I've ever been involved in. And again, for an introverted engineer like myself, that was certainly helpful. The other thing is in terms of things I'm passionate about, which sounds kind of dumb, but, and I'm not sure if this is exactly what it is, but doing Excel spreadsheets for some reason really interests me and excites me in a way. And just one example, when I got into real estate investing, a year and a half ago or whatever, and maybe 2 years ago from when I started sort of really doing a lot of research, that was kind of a new area for me, and again, it involved finances. So it's I really needed to understand everything end to end with how this whole buying real estate thing works and how you actually make money doing this. So there's plenty of templates and examples and programs out there you can use to, that they'll do these real estate analyses for you. But until you sit down and really just go through all the numbers in detail yourself, you don't really ever, at least for me, I have to get into the nitty gritty and really just build the thing from scratch myself. So I built my own spreadsheets to do my own analysis, because also there's just so many kind of nuances with different things. Different deals are structured a little bit differently, and you can't just take a generic template from the internet and just think that that's going to cover all the potential expenses you have to worry about. So I just started generating my own spreadsheets that I started to use for analysis when I was looking at properties to potentially buy, and it's something I even still use today. And I think it's a pretty sweet little spreadsheet. I'm pretty proud of it myself. I also built spreadsheets back in grad school to track, I won't get into details, just crystal parameters, material science sort of stuff. And these were things that a lot of people would use, but were not, the data was out there, but not readily accessible in a spreadsheet type format. So it was something I put out there on the internet for people to just download if they were interested. And, got several people that would actually tell me when they saw me, oh, you generated that spreadsheet, and I used that for my PhD or whatever. Is super helpful. So thanks. So again, it sounds kind of dumb, but that's something I could, if you gave me an idea for, hey, I need a spreadsheet that calculates this or does that or displays things like this, I would be all over just doing that every day if I had my say, I guess. So But then the good thing about both of those topics, the music and spreadsheets, just let's just say like office productivity softwares, whatever. Both of those things are things that have like huge markets. I mean, there's tons of people that are always searching for those types of things in terms of how do I learn to play music on an instrument or whatever the thing is. And then how do I, tons of people want to learn how to use Excel better or Google Sheets or whatever the, thing of choice is. And where I also started to do some research, mainly on YouTube, just to kind of, again, see, as Russell points out in a podcast I even heard today, he said, when he was still in the process of, kind of coming up with new business ideas, he would try to avoid coming up with a product and then finding the market, instead looking out at seeing who the market would be and then figuring out what is the right product for that market. Because that way, again, you push yourself to seeing, okay, where are people really showing that they have a lot of interest in something? And then you just figure out, okay, well, I've already found the market, and I found where they congregate, in a sense, online or whatever. So now, then once I know where they live, essentially, then I just need to figure out what the thing is that they're most passionate about, which, is probably something they're already talking about in their various forums and whatnot. So conceivably you could plug something in there and be able to get some interest relatively easily, as opposed to, creating some best product ever and then, not really even knowing where to find the people that could be interested in that. And so as I'm thinking about, what would a product be in music or Google or Microsoft Excel, and I don't know exactly, but I at least know, again, there's huge markets and there's plenty of places where you could find these pockets of people online. But with that, I was just searching through YouTube's about, looking at who are the biggest, YouTube creators. I didn't really look into music, but I was looking more so on the Excel spreadsheet sort of stuff. And, there's a handful of people that, have 2 million plus subscribers on their channels and tons of videos that regularly have, 500,000 plus views on them. Because again, there's just tons of people that are searching for these types of topics. So if you have a good video and it's, helpful and instructive and whatever, then people will kind of naturally find that. And so I'm sure, again, those people that have those scales of businesses, they're probably making plenty of money just off the ad revenue from YouTube. But at least in a couple of cases, they do have like courses that they, can push people to go buy off of YouTube, obviously. And I'm sure they make reasonable money doing that as well. And you could, again, think about building a business even from there, to do coaching, to do private one-on-one, service, Excel building service or whatever, for a very high dollar amount. And I don't know, I kind of think that's something that would actually really interest me. So now it's like, fuck, do I just need to shift everything to doing something more along those lines? Come up with the slight pitch where I'm, again, providing a new opportunity, not just another guy making videos about using Excel or whatever. I mean, that would obviously be part of it, but there would need to be something more to it than that. So I could certainly start to think about that. I mean, one idea was maybe thinking about those developing spreadsheets and tools of that sort specifically for like a niche, like real estate investors or professionals or whatever. Because again, I've used that. I have at least a limited amount of experience using for that purpose. So maybe that would be something of interest, but I don't know. So anyway, and that's just where my brain's at today. So I'll have to sleep on it, let my subconscious do a little marinating and see what I come up with in the morning, I guess. So I'm going to leave it with that. I've been a little bit long on this one today, so hope you're all doing well. Keep on kicking ass, taking names, and I'll see you next time. Peace.